Okay, so let's talk about this first use case, the customer digital experience. And I'll just do a demo to kind of showcase it. Now, when I do the following demo, this is a demo about an outage that I mentioned before, a Microsoft outage that happened 2 years ago. And I will show you how we've seen what happened with Teams application. Now, if you're an AppOps persona or you take care for your application, imagine in this use case you are Microsoft. You're trying to figure out what's going on from the Microsoft perspective. If you take care for the enterprise network, you care about your employees, then you're on the other side. You're trying to figure out why your employees are actually not having any or bad connectivity with Microsoft Teams. So let's see what happened. On a very high level, what we're doing is we are actually testing Microsoft Teams from various locations around the world. Again, if you'd be an AppOps persona, you would probably use our cloud agents for that. Otherwise, those agents would be in your offices. And you can see that we are testing Teams service, and on a very high level, we are just showing you the availability of Teams service, which usually is 100%, as expected. What happened at some point in time is actually the Teams service availability dropped down significantly to 25%. And if you go down and scroll to the map, you will see that actually dropped down from multiple locations around the world. Now we go into the troubleshooting mode. You try to understand what happened. Is it an application issue? Is it a network issue? Is it my fault, or is it somebody else's fault? There are some clues here on the left side already. You can see that from more than half of the agents, we could not actually resolve the domain name. That implies it could be some kind of a DNS issue, right? But at the same time, from some locations, we resolved the domain name, but could not connect to the service itself. That implies some kind of a network issue. So we have some clues here. We're still not sure exactly what it is. That is why in ThousandEyes, you can always go a layer lower, which we call a network layer. And what we do here is we synthetically test the network between the agents and the service, and we get metrics such as latency loss, etc. And what we have on the screen now is actually the packet loss. Obviously, in normal conditions, there is 0 packet loss between your employees or customers and the service itself. But then at some point in time, at 7:10 UTC in the morning, you can see the average packet loss from all the agents toward the service went up to 37.5%. What we've just done is we've proven it is not an application issue, it is a network issue that caused both DNS resolution issues as well as just the ability to connect to the service itself. We still don't know whose problem is it. Is it our problem? Is it somebody else's problem? This is why we have this view called Path Visualization. And to explain how Path Visualization works, I will first move back in time before the actual outage. This is also one of the important things. You really need to have the baseline to understand what normal looks like before you can actually troubleshoot it. Okay, so this is Path Visualization. What Path Visualization gives you is essentially a network path, layer 3 path, from the agents on the left side to the service which is on the right side. So just scroll down, you will see the Teams service is on the right side. There's some problem there in Canada, but in general, you can see there's nothing red on the screen. For instance, if I go from Singapore, you will notice that our Singapore office is actually, the ISP there is United Layer in Singapore, and then United Layer in Singapore is peering with PCCW in Singapore, and then PCCW in Singapore is peering with Microsoft in Singapore. And if I look at the other locations, it's very similar from London. For instance, we end up in Microsoft's data center in London. Makes sense. Microsoft has really, really good presence around the world. Most of the ISPs peer directly with them at their home location. So let's look at what actually happened during the outage itself. Now, if I go down, all of a sudden, you will notice a bunch of red nodes. A red node means packet loss. And you can see that there is 100% packet loss in Microsoft's network in Sao Paulo. There is 100% packet loss in Microsoft's network in Iowa, in US. Same in Seoul, South Korea, and so on and so forth. So at this point, again, we're two groups here. If you work for Microsoft, you're like, we have a network problem. We need to start resolving it. If you are an enterprise that uses Microsoft services, at this point you've just proven your innocence. It's Microsoft, you can go grab a coffee, send an email to your management and to your users, and that's pretty much what you can do at this point in time. Now, if you've been paying attention, you will actually notice that there are more red nodes on the screen, and not just in the Microsoft's network, right? There's actually, a bunch of packet loss in Singapore. There's a bunch of packet loss in San Francisco, and so on and so forth. How's that possible? How does that make sense? If it's a Microsoft issue, why is there packet loss way closer to our offices? Well, ThousandEyes also has this thing called the BGP layer. And what we do in BGP layer, we show you the AS path from a large amount of routers around the internet towards a target service. In normal condition, this is how it looks like. A bunch of routers on the left side in very different autonomous systems all connect directly to the Microsoft. Again, Microsoft has amazing presence, so most of ISPs do actually peer directly with them. Let's take a look at what happened during the outage itself. Now, this looks a little bit complex, but what it really is the dashed lines represent the old AS path. The solid red lines represent the new AS path. And what actually happened is all these ISPs who were previously peering directly with Microsoft are now going through a different ISP, like CCOM, Vocus, AT&T. So there's a small amount, maybe up to 10 big ISPs that are now suddenly ingesting all the traffic from Microsoft. So what really happened was Microsoft had some issues. They stopped peering with all these small providers around the world at their points of presences, but they still kept peering with the large ISPs. Because of the BGP, the traffic got rerouted from all the small ISPs to the larger ISPs. That essentially saturated their links, and this is why you've actually been seeing packet loss way closer to our offices than you would expect. So that's ThousandEyes in a nutshell. You could see how we can very quickly, in just a couple of minutes, figure out exactly where the problem is.